Welcome to another edition of the Business Plain and Simple podcast presented by the ReGroup Advisors. I'm your host, Tiffany Stone, and it's our goal with this and all of our podcasts to guide prospective and current business owners on their journey to prosperity. We'll show you what to do and what not to do in this ever-changing environment. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Mike Kaszubski from ReGroup Advisors and Craig Nash from Alethia Wellness. Welcome. Now, Mike, can you tell me a little bit about the relationship between Alethia Wellness and ReGroup Advisors?
Yeah, absolutely. So Craig and I have met a few months ago, and both are in the healthcare sector, both have a lot of years in the healthcare sector. And we've started to take a look at how to disrupt healthcare with a new model, getting care to those that are in remote areas, rural settings, and then as well as the underserved populations. And so when Craig and I first met, that is a mission that we've both, have looked at for several years. And COVID has, obviously shifted healthcare to where people are now aging in place at their homes, and they're looking at trying to get more services there. And so the original discussion, we both have companies underneath our umbrella. We have a healthcare company. Craig obviously is the CEO of Alethia. And so we started to look at how can we make a difference for those individuals out into the community and use our combined knowledge and expertise to then build a new model that absolutely delivers that care. A lot of people trying to do it, but the mission and vision and Craig's view on how this would happen, it aligned with ours. And so we started to really build this out. I think that impact and that relationship allowing us to both hit some missions as we move forward is really kind of defining the relationship, and that's how we're looking to continue to make a difference.
That's awesome. I love being able to hear this. And you're absolutely correct. After everything with the pandemic, a lot of people were looking at their wellness and, noticing these things. We were with ourselves a lot. So you started to notice some things. You're talking about that, Craig. How will this new structure impact patients and their families? Because obviously lots of things are happening. We're changing. We're becoming more aware of ourselves and kind of what we want for our wellness and our well-being.
Well, I think the main thing that Mike and I are concerned about is serving the underserved, and that is taking the phenomenal technology and hands-on services that are available for patients in the marketplace and improving access for folks. And for us at Alethia Wellness, it's all about dealing with high-risk patients, keeping them out of the hospital, reducing emergency department overutilization. And that really gets down to cost. And what led us to launch the Alethia Wellness, we came out of another company we had called Alethia Complex Care Management, where we were focused on dealing with high-risk patients that were very expensive in the healthcare continuum. They were in and out of the hospital. They had hospital costs or annual costs of over $80,000. And by working with our program, we were able to cut that down to $40,000 on the average. And we think if we can take those skills and that expertise and align it with our friends at ReGroup Advisors, that we'll be able to serve a whole lot more patients than if we just did it ourselves.
That's awesome, Craig. And going a little bit off of that, you talked a little bit about technology, and that's going to be growing, obviously, as we keep going into the future. How is technology and wellness really going to work together to be able to provide the best care for patients all around?
That is absolutely a great question, and it's so timely, Tiffany. I'm glad you asked it. Well, the big challenge in healthcare right now is how do we reduce costs, right? And then how do we let technology do what it does very well? And how do we let the providers, the physicians, the PAs, and the nurse practitioners do what they're skilled at doing? And we've got devices now that where you can have a Bluetooth scale that a patient would step on every day if they're concerned about if they're a CHF patient, congestive heart failure patient, they're concerned about weight gain. And there's another device that can monitor a patient's glucose 24/7. And there's software that can be embedded into that device that can it'll let physicians know if it's time to adjust the patient's insulin after every meal. I mean, so the technology is phenomenal, and we're able to offer all these services to physicians without the patient having to live in the physician's waiting room every minute. So the access to care, again, increases, It's very cost effective. The health plans like it because it gets the data in real time. And, we can really drive some reductions in cost if we get the data to the appropriate parties in a timely manner.
And Tiffany, one of the things from Regroup side is on this too, and this is what makes this relationship real interesting, is Craig has this vision on how this works and has had some structure along the ways with the two companies. What the challenge is because healthcare has pivoted so quick, and some of this technology is emerging technology. So it's medical devices or it's this wearable device or this proactive health monitoring stuff that really takes private equity to bring into the market and get the data necessary to do proof of concept to get it back to Medicare and everybody else to say, hey, this is a device that is having a positive impact. And so it's a challenge, and this is kind of where this relationship really strengthens it out. We can come in and we come from that private equity sector, so we can work with the private equity firms and say, what new devices do you need to be deployed? Craig has the patience and has the structure there, and we can marry that too. But the missing link is always, how do we help the physician understand how this gets deployed? So Regroup can go in. We have a team of experts that go to the physician and say, your practice needs to change. So we're going to help you change your practice to then help us get to these patients that nobody can get to, and to then help Craig and I get this mission filled of how does the underserved get served. We've even looked at and are in discussions with a number of different nonprofits that do humanitarian and health and wellness outreach, and we're working with them to also provide funding for some of these initiatives. Because really, in today's world, with all the shift and there's no playbook, you almost need that strategic consulting side to tell how the user or the physician uses it to get them up to speed while you're developing the model, while you're trying to get to the patients. So there's a lot of moving parts here. And Craig is exactly right. We could try to do it, but we don't have Craig's side. Craig can try to do it. He doesn't have our side coming together with this new vision. And the end result is lessen the burden on the patients, lessen the burden on their family, get the care to them, get them proactive so we can have a healthier society is really what it's going to be all about.
That's awesome, Mike. And talking about those things, I just actually hung out with my mom yesterday, and I had to update and upgrade her cell phone because there are companies like you talked about, Medicare, and that are using certain different apps or facilities or tools to really be able to understand the wellness, the caring that, certain patients will need. And my mom's like, Tiffany, I need to upgrade my phone. I need to be able to have this app. I need to be able to make this work. And it's really cool to be able to see that. I'm kind of tearing up a little here because it's just, there's people that care about that type of, care, especially for an older generation that's kind of still learning all of this great technology that we have. And going after that, you also will have a younger generation, which that's all they're going to kind of know. They're going to only know a certain way to be able to see, if you just need a quick checkup or have a question for a doctor or need to check your wellness, that's going to be able to do that. So, Mike, after all of this, all the great things that you and Craig are going to be doing, is this only going to be in Michigan, or are you guys thinking of a larger picture, a larger scale for everybody?
Absolutely, larger picture there, Tiffany. The goal is that same patient population exists in every state in the country. So it's the magic in this is developing the playbook, right? Which doesn't exist right now. So as we're going through this, we're developing the playbook, we're developing procedures, we're developing internal controls and processes, because what we want to be able to do is go to any physician group in the country and say, here's the playbook, here's the technology, here's the structure, here's how it's been working. Now let us help you deploy this and help grow your practice. At the same time, we're penetrating this patient base that's kind of forgotten and reduce costs across the board on all the medical carriers. Because it's not just Medicare, it's the commercial payers and everybody else. So in the big scheme of things, we've taken that reactive healthcare, put it into a proactive environment, and then had a positive impact by preventing stuff rather than allowing it to happen and then treat later. So national level for sure, We're looking at, we started testing some stuff on the West Coast. We're starting to test stuff in the South. The territories are a little bit different and the patient mix is a little bit different, but they all have the same common problem. So national definitely is going to be the rollout.
Wonderful. Well, a big thanks to both of you for joining me today and providing some great information. Mike, Craig, it's always a pleasure to be able to chat with you guys. And that will do it for another edition of Business Plain and Simple podcast presented by the ReGroup Advisors. Thanks for listening, and make sure to follow our podcast wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss future episodes. You will be notified as soon as they are released. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, you can see those in our podcast feed as well. Now, if you're interested in business advising services offered by the ReGroup Advisors, you can email them at info@regroupadvisors.com or check out regroupadvisors.com.